I did a little chat with Sam Ward some time ago. That was quite well received. I thought, why not have a chat with Dan, because I've known you a while now, haven't I?
Yeah, it's a fair few years, Rog.
When I first came across Dan, I was working for Professional Builder magazine, and I used to review products, and your business partner who does the marketing, he got in touch with me.
Correct.
And he said, do you want to look at this roofing square? He came down to see me and he brought it down, and to be honest, he's a nice enough guy, we had a good chat, you know, and he showed me the square, but he's not a carpenter.
No.
And I didn't really understand it fully. I mean, I understood it, but I couldn't really see what the advantage of it was over and above, you know, just making a template rafter. So anyway, so I did the review on it, and it didn't do amazingly well from that review, because basically I think by that time people stopped reading the magazines, really.
Probably.
I mean, they've all moved away from magazines towards what we now call social or anti-social media. YouTube, but you know, people are getting their information in different ways, aren't they? So
yes, without a doubt.
that didn't set the world on fire, but then I did a roundup of different roofing squares, because by that time I got so many. I got your square, I'd got the Cowley one, I'd got Rufus. I thought I'd do a roundup of all these squares and compare and contrast, and then we started getting a bit of reaction to it.
You emailed and said, can I put the square in the review that you done? And then the minute you said you was reviewing it, your friend had used it, he had a couple of birds' mouths.
That's right.
And the minute
Steve,
you stamped it, your seal of approval on it, you was like, this is a good product.
I think at that point I still hadn't met you. I know you were busy working and
I was
you
actually
couldn't
on
go.
holiday. I was away somewhere, and it all come because we advertised in the magazine
that's
as well.
Right. So I just thought, well, if you'd come down and shown it to me, I probably would have understood it better, because you obviously invented it. And I always think it's really nice to see the inventor of something. Then I looked at your video that you got on your channel and I thought, that's not great. You know, you were a little bit sort of rabbit in the headlights on that video, and I thought we could do better. So I said to you, next time you got a roofing job on the go, give us a shout. We'll come and video it, and it'll do well for us because it's good content for us, how to construct a roof. That's now done 250,000 views or something.
Something like that. It's nearly, yeah, 250,000.
It's steady, isn't it, that video? It's doing all right.
And a lot of the comments on there, a lot of the guys, they like it, because we got some valleys in there, I think a couple of hips, didn't we?
Yeah, you got everything.
So
all
it was
the
a nice compacted video with a lot of information in there.
Yeah. And to be fair, I learnt a lot, because, okay, I'd reviewed that, but it's only when I went out with you on site and I watched you with the square, working on the valleys, the hips, all the jack rafter, everything, that I said, now I understand. And, I went away from there thinking, I reckon I could build a roof like this. I'd done a couple of up and overs before. Obviously, then I knew you. We've done quite a lot since then. The rest is history, you say. But tell us how you got started as a carpenter.
I started at just a young age with my dad. I was probably about 10 or so from school, going in on Saturdays helping him.
So your dad's a carpenter?
My dad's a carpenter. It's just something, I've always looked up to my dad and always wanted to be at that young age a carpenter and work along with him.
And I remember saying to you about the nightmare working with your dad, and you said not in your experience.
No,
in your
it wasn't.
Experience, it was great.
It was great because when we had an argument, which was quite regular.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Once we had the argument, I was probably sulking, but an hour or so later, it's forgot about. Where if it's me and you, I don't hold grudges or try not to.
No.
But if it's not, then you might hold grudges a bit more. But me and my dad, it was one of them. Get on with it.
Along and he taught you. Did you go to college?
I went to college. Yeah, I'd done a proper apprenticeship.
Oh, right.
That was
through your dad?
Yeah, we worked for Rydens, the firm.
Right. So he wasn't self-employed then?
He was self-employed, but I'd done it through Rydens. He worked for them back in the days. They liked to take on loads of apprentices. Yeah. So I went through.
So were you always working with him, or did you?
I worked with another couple of guys, but it was pretty well under my dad, really. So I worked for Rydens for 25 years or so.
Oh, did you?
Long time. Probably too long.
So you did some interesting jobs, though. You told me you did Canary Wharf and things like that.
That was a different, but on Canary Wharf, that was some good, interesting, fun work. Yeah. Because they've got so much money. We made a load of boxes up once, covered it in Cordec, and it's to go in the supermarket, the precinct.
Yeah, I know.
And all we'd done, it was to mock up the seating area. They put it in there at night. The head lady come round, looked at it, and went, and it's 6 inches smaller. Next day, all the Corex off, make the boxes 6 inches smaller. That night, goes back out there again, and it's them sort of jobs.
And then she went, I want it 6 inches bigger.
Probably. We said,
so it goes on.
Yeah.
Do you know, I've worked for customers like that who just like,
But when they're spending millions of pounds doing a new shopping precinct, she wants it looking exactly how she wants it. They're paying the
She
money,
didn't
so
know, she didn't know how she wanted it until
No.
she saw it in the flesh. That
Yeah.
is the problem sometimes. People can't read drawings. They don't visualise something till you do it. You fit the kitchen, then they go, oh, I'm not sure I want that there, and then
Yeah.
you're moving it around.
or it says a metre on it, but they can't visualise a metre in between the kitchen worktop and the island or something.
Yeah.
It's a bit tight. Well, that's how you wanted it.
So your dad, did he work for Rydens till he retired, or what?
No, we both left there at wound up early 2001, 2002.
Okay, so he had a
and
fair
then,
bit of run
long
doing-
run with them.
doing
side work.
other stuff.
After that, it got a little bit more interesting because then he was doing more bizarre stuff like up Canary Wharf and things
Oh,
like
okay,
that.
right. So you were still doing what I'd call commercial stuff, a lot of
Yeah.
commercial stuff. You weren't house bashing.
Oh no, Rydens was house bashing. Then when we left them, it was more.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
Rydens
the Rydens
just-
stuff was the house bashing.
Yeah, just
all right.
house bashing. Yeah,
And then once you left them, you went into some bigger commercial.
yeah, and just different stuff.
ventures,
With,
yeah.
But with Rydens, we was doing back in the day like £1 million homes.
Yeah,
And then
which was a lot then.
It was a lot of money
which
then.
every home, is like.
Yeah, it's a million.
Nothing, is it?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But we bought one. Norman Tebbit bought it, so at the time we'd do a few, and it was really nice properties.
He bought it after you'd done it.
We built it, yeah. Then
Yeah.
it got converted for his wife.
Oh yeah, because she
in a wheelchair,
was
yeah.
famously blown up in the Brighton bombing,
That's it,
wasn't she?
yes.
The
Yeah,
Brighton, the Grand Hotel
that's
in
it.
Brighton.
Yeah, the IRA.
I've got to say, Dan, that since we've been working together, you've come on leaps and bounds in front of a camera, because it was difficult at first, wasn't it?
I still find it very difficult, and you say to me, say this, and I get about a line in, and I forget what I'm saying, and then I do find it quite.
Well, do you know what? The problem is that when I first saw you, I thought, okay, he's not really comfortable in front of a camera. But to be fair, Robin Clever was exactly the same when he first started. I think that it's just one of those things you have to get used to, and the more you can ignore it, the better. But I think the mistake I made was feeding you lines. It was just like you're thinking, okay, so what do you want me to say? And really, what I want you to say is whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I know. It's very. And then also, say when I'm working, I'm thinking I've got lots of people watching this, all criticising generally, doing it wrong, and talking to the camera, and so it's quite daunting. A lot of it. I find it very.
And also, do you know what? Working and talking is not for everybody. Again, Robin doesn't do that. He talks for, does all his talking, and then he does a time-lapse speed-up thing where he doesn't talk at all. But to actually stop and explain what you're doing as you're working is quite a difficult thing, isn't it, really? Because you're trying to concentrate on what you're doing. I'm always aware of that. I'm thinking I'm taking up your time. I'm slowing you down sometimes.
Yeah, because I've still got work to produce, working for people.
That's the thing. I mean, people always say, oh, why don't you film this? Why don't you film that? But it is dependent on us finding places. I mean, I've got to say, one of the highlights was when you did the Oast House.
That was fantastic, wasn't it? That was such a great roof to do.
If you haven't seen that, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the Oast House series, I mean, we put a lot into that. Obviously Dan had to do all the work, but I had to drive down there several days filming, and then Dylan edited it and so on. And I don't think people always appreciate just how many man hours go into making a video for YouTube. It's a great video. There's nothing wrong with it as a video, but it just hasn't got, maybe because people don't understand what an Oast House is and don't want to know, or think, well, I'm never going to buy one of those, so why should I bother? But it's a shame when you see that, when you see videos that you do and you think, I just wish they got a few more views, But
it's such a obviously steep pitch, but then with the cow on top, seeing that lifted on, and everything, it really was some fantastic footage.
Glory, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. But
I don't know what the people living in it now. They sold it, didn't they?
It sold.
The developers you were working for.
Yeah, it sold pretty quick.
Since that time, you've been doing smaller jobs,
lots of little
yourself,
jobs,
rather
really.
than working for builders. Bigger.
Yeah, I've not been on site for a while. It's been lucky of just doing jobs here and there.
Yeah. Which do you prefer?
I'm quite liking this because before I was on site, I've been on site 5 days a week. Then I'm doing my own work here and there.
Yeah.
And it was too busy. So the last couple of years have been really nice of organising a bit of my own work, nothing too massive, and then a little bit more free time.
So this square,
right,
this is where we first met. So I've noticed with you is that you can never leave anything as it comes out of the box like that. You've got that Festool chop, so you change that, tweak this, put a little bit here. You've always got improvements to make to a lot of the things that you buy, haven't you? You're thinking all the time. So you've obviously got an inventor's mind.
Yeah, it must be. Many years ago when I was fishing, I bought a brand new bivvy. So I got this whole new pram bivvy system. and we're fishing away, and it has got all zip-on panels. Next thing, I got a pair of scissors out and just started cutting lumps off. And my friend Mick went, "What are you doing?" I said, "I just don't want that on there. It's just," and that was it. It's all coming off. Cut it all off. He couldn't believe it. Brand new bivvy, and it's the same with the fishing tackle.
So that's it. You customise everything.
Yeah, it's just never happy with it.
Yeah. That's interesting though, isn't it? Because I mean, it obviously keeps your mind.
Yeah, I just look at it and
all
think
the time ticking over.
that
going,
could be improved.
Yeah. And
So-
manufacturers, I think they ought to hire you really just to have a look at stuff. No, seriously, I do. I'm not just saying that. I think there's a lot of them could, because there's things they miss, and I mean this hinge jig, right? Let's talk about this hinge jig because that's been for you, like you said, 10 years.
Yeah, at least over
10
10
years of tink, 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 and
Because I've had different ideas in the past for the apertures for moving them up and down. I won't go into that, but and he's thinking that's not quite right for making it all adjustable. And then when I see the extrusion that we got now, that was like, yes, got it.
I think most of us at some time in our life have thought we've invented something, They thought, oh yeah, what about that? Some people then go on to try and manufacture it, do whatever. And I mentioned that I worked for a professional builder magazine for 30 years, and during that time I met loads and loads of inventors, and some of them I just thought, yes, you're wasting your time here, mate. And you don't want to say that to them because the one thing they say is, oh, you were like the man who turned down the workmate, or the Beatles, or whatever. So they're always like, it's almost like you say to them, I really don't think this is good. It kind of spurs them on. They kind of, oh yeah, you're going to prove you wrong. And good luck to them, but it takes its toll on them. Sometimes mentally it takes its toll on them. I've seen people who have been divorced, lost their houses, just because they've been clinging to this invention like my precious, and they won't let it go and they don't acknowledge that it's not working. I'll give you an example of one which was really good. This guy, he got an ordinary, not a track saw, but an ordinary circular saw, and he'd made a rail system for it.
All right.
And you could put a length of worktop in it, like 3 metre worktop or whatever, and this saw was attached to this track that he'd made, and you just switched it on and you put it on it. So you line the worktop up where you want the cut, put it on, and then the saw would just fall by gravity, cut through the worktop, all the way to the bottom. So you get one nice straight cut. You haven't done a thing, So he built this thing, and then he said to me, I want you to come and see it. And he was up in Newcastle or somewhere, Sunderland, somewhere up that way. And I said, well, it's a bit far to come and see it. And I said to him, I'm going to be down in Coventry at a show, a trade show down there. I said, if you can make it down to Coventry, then I'll see you down there. Maybe you bring it, we'll find a corner of the exhibition hall and you can demonstrate the product. And he said, oh, well, I don't know. So he said, I'm not sure I can get it in my van. And I went, really? If you can't get it in your van, how big is this thing you've made? And I was like, where's the market? Where are you going with this? Is this for tradesmen? Anyway, so he hired a van. He brought this contraption down, and he was really nervous, really nervous. And I said to him, set it up in the corner there, and oh yeah, well give us an hour, to set it up. So I gave him an hour, and I went back and I said to him, how's it going? He said, oh, well, it's a bit longer. He said, can you give me another hour and I'll have it ready? And so I gave him another hour, and I got around, and he was still fiddling around, but I waited. And after 2 hours of setting up all this kit, he switched the thing on and it cut this bit of worktop down. And I said, that's it, is it?
Yeah.
So it takes up half your van, cuts a piece of worktop. And I said to him, well, most kitchen fitters I know, they cut with a router. They just got a worktop jig and they just cut the end of the worktop off with a router. He said, not where I come from, they don't. They use a circular saw. And I said to him, are you kitchen fitter? He said, no, I'm a plumber. And I went,
rest my case.
Okay. But that's it. But and he was really, and he was upset that I didn't really give him a clean bill of health on it. So your journey, that's been nothing like that. Yours, has it been smooth sailing for you or not?
I've been very lucky. The first couple of years is really slow because, again, marketing and things like that is very difficult. Where do you market? So the biggest break was with Skill Builder. As soon as we done that first video, then carpenters could see the concept, see how I was using the roofing square, and it's just surprising the power of YouTube.
Yeah. And obviously there's some people who hate it, some people who don't like it. Some
Oh,
people go, oh, you
yeah.
should be doing it like this. What's wrong with a speed square? Nothing wrong with a speed square, is there?
The most satisfying thing is when I get gentlemen, got one recently emailed, he said, like, you know, I'm a time-served carpenter, so he's obviously been doing it a long time, the way he messaged, and he's changing his ways.
Yeah.
So 'cause it's the hardest thing is to change your ways, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But what I've learned, and I think we might have spoken about this before, the biggest lesson I've learned is sometimes however you do something, not work-wise, it could be anything, you've always got to have an open mind. Whether you want to change your method of whatever you're doing, but be aware there is other methods and you can take them on board. But a lot of them, they don't want to, they're so tunnel vision. No, we do it like this, that's it. And I just find it quite amazing that they can't even, don't buy it, but just look at it.
The thing I've noticed with some manufacturers is they try and bully people into buying their product, you know. In other words, they go, oh, you're living in the dark ages, you need to move on, you need to do this, you need to... I think you have to respect the tradesman and say, if you've done it like that and you're happy doing it like that, by all means carry on. Nobody's trying to ram this down your throat, but here's an option, here's an alternative.
Exactly. But also, to say again, not just with the tradespeople, just in life in general.
Yeah.
I think you should try and be a little bit open-minded about stuff, and that's just been my view on it. Because you know, when I've been arguing with people on anti-social media, as you call it, and some of them are just like, oh, just you know, Ferraris are too expensive. I don't drive past the Ferrari garage and run in there and go, they're too expensive. Then run back out again and drive off.
Why don't you do that?
I'm going to start doing it. But you know what I mean? It's like anything, and they just make me laugh. But
yeah, sometimes they get to you, don't they? Sometimes
every
you get
now
up
and then,
go, oh,
yeah.
Come on, mate.
But the beauty now with the roofing square, because I've sold over 5,000 products, if I was 5 years in and I'd only sold 10, then you got to call it a day, maybe.
Bit of self-doubt coming in.
You know, thanks to you with the sales.
And again, that's a UK manufacturer, isn't it?
UK manufacturer.
So what do? You sell 300, then get another 300.
I buy batches of 60 actually. Gary likes to make them. He buys 60, so I buy 60.
Sell those.
No, I normally try and keep a few in stock, so I try and keep ahead of it all. But what with recent events, getting hold of metal and whatnot, we have run out a few times.
Yeah.
But I'll try to build stock up. So if I've got like 100, 120 in stock at least.
Yeah.
So it just gives me a little bit of a buffer zone then.
Why didn't you think about taking that to China?
I actually, a guy that I know priced it in China, and he was more expensive than...
Was it?
This was years ago. I think I had to buy like 1,000 units.
Yeah.
Imagine it being slightly wrong and you got 1,000 of them.
Oh yeah, no.
So
I just wondered, because there's so many people do that. You know, I know people have got other, you know, things not similar squares, but you know, roofing squares, other tools. Yeah. China, every time China. You know.
And it's great. I go and see Gary. I get 60 squares off him. We meet in a watering hole, so I have a quick shandy.
All right.
Have a, discuss life, meet him, pick him up, and it's a local firm, so it works really well.
And you're keeping somebody employed there.
So
So basically, because there's quite a lot goes into that roofing square.
There is a lot, yes.
There's a lot of different components.
Yeah. Or just a lot of work going up and down on it.
That's what I mean. It's, what I'm saying is, they've got to make all those bits, assemble them.
Yeah.
So it's basically a CNC machine working full time in your squares almost, isn't it?
At one stage, he was full time on it making them.
Yeah.
He couldn't make them quick enough.
And they're not cheap, are they? They're CNC machines.
It ranges between £50 and £100,000
for one of those machines.
Yeah. And what was amusing recently, a guy said that he thought my square was out. So I'm sure it's not out.
Yeah, it can't be out.
If I'd made it in the garage, and it could have been out a little bit, but the way Gary makes it, no, it's not out.
No. So it's interesting, that, isn't it? It's a, what do they say about bad workman blames his tools, and that's a classic example, isn't it? You cock a roof up, you go, that must be the square.
Yeah, square's fault. Good craftsman appreciates his tools. Yeah. I think he might have seen hip markings and they're irregular. It's not a set pattern. So
that's
because they come round irregular, I think he must have thought that's out.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Well, that is baffling. I've never really worked that one out.
Because it just varies. It's not a uniform measurement.
No, it's not a consistent measurement. It's not proportional. But the thing that gets me is if you did that on a conventional framing square, say.
They vary as well. The markings get slightly longer on like a speed square. So
if you were using an old-fashioned right-angle framing square, you set the thing up, and when you want to do the hip, you pull it back 17.
17 over 12. I think the Americans do for hips.
Yeah, but that's consistent. That's always going to be the same, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works then with the Yanks.
Yeah. Maybe they just don't care. Maybe near enough is good enough. They're not building a piano.
They're not building a piano. Yeah, I've never thought about that, but yeah, they always do 17 over 12.
Yeah. So that doesn't take into account the fact that there's a variation on it. For reasons I'll never ever understand.
Yeah, I just stick to the metric version.
Yeah. No, it works.
Yeah,
I mean, what you're doing works, you know,
Yes.
but I just, you know, that's the kind of thing that just keeps me awake at night, honestly.
Yeah, I'm going to start thinking about that now. Thanks, Roger.
Sorry, mate. So, next invention then.
Oh, I've got a few little things, little toys to come out maybe. But the hinge jig for me has been, I don't know, where did you start with it? You know, all these years I've been thinking about it, sadly. And now it's finally, we've got the real one and it works.
So
it's
so you're a bit knackered now. You just want to have a rest from it, do you?
The last month has seemed to be a little bit stressful here and there, of just getting bits sorted out. Not major stress, it's just me overthinking too much.
I can see, you know, I know a couple of little things that you've had to deal with on it, and oh no.
Yeah.
But just one product that I've seen quite a few people have said, oh, I'd like one of those. Where'd you get that from? And that's your bevel.
The bevel.
Sliding bevel.
Yeah, I've showed it to Ralph and he's drawn it up and he's going to produce one.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so that should look all nice, anodised and...
Oh, so it'd be a different animal to the roofing square, slightly in the look of it.
That, yes.
Lots of little measurements on it and stuff. Probably.
I'm sure Ralph will be stamping all sorts on it.
And your signature, of course.
And hopefully my signature as well. So, yes.
Collectible. And if you want to look at Daniel's produce, his wares, if you like to see what he's got, then have a look at his website and you can buy the tools from there. And also, while you're at it, have a look at Dan's playlist. And if you've got a little bit of time to spare, you want a really relaxing, nice view of the English countryside, the odd Spitfire flying through the air.
What, this one going
watch the Oast House video, because we'd really like to see that take off.
Yes.
Wouldn't we?
Yes, definitely.
Not the Oast House take off, obviously, that's sail on top.